And here we go again. Yet another installment. Discussions with that dude. And today I got yet another illustrious guest. I'm interviewing a student athlete, Jayden Reger. And I seen this young man on the field, and this is not hyperbole. This guy is a team captain, the heart of the team. The dude is an absolute monster in the weight room, playing both sides, linebacker, running back, receiver. So that is a pretty daunting task for anyone to do. So I definitely want to give proper reverence to the student athletes. And Jayden Reger, thank you for joining me on this evening. I know it's a school night, so I'm not going to keep you too late, but
Thank you.
I know the kids stay up late ways nowadays. But thank you, Jayden. I've already introduced you, but could you just let the people know, your own introduction of yourself, your name, your position, your passion, how you got into playing football? That's how we'll
Well,
start it out.
football has always been around in my family, and I played it a little bit Pop Warner 1 year, but I stepped back into it freshman year, and that's when my passion grew sophomore year mostly because just the guys around me, I never felt more comfortable. It just felt like home. So, and I've been at Concord all 3 years now. I play running back, slot receiver, some wide. I play linebacker. That's my main position.
So out of those positions, I know sometimes people play a main position because that is the need the team. Like I know some of my friends were taller, bigger, stronger, and they had to play linemen, but they probably didn't really want to play linemen, but they were the biggest on the team. So out of those positions that you named, are all of those positions that you love? Is there one position you love above the other, or do you like them all equally?
I would say offense is definitely a little more fun. It's nice to run the ball and score, but if you can score on defense, that just feels crazy too. So I would say I love them all equally because there's different aspects to each. Because running over somebody's fun, but trucking somebody on offense is fun too.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's kind of hard to truly quantify what is better, right? You get a handoff, shake somebody, score a touchdown, right? You crack somebody, pick up a fumble, score. Like you, it's kind of hard to compare and say this feeling is better than the other. So I accept that answer. So when you said you played Pop Warner, what team did you play for?
I played 1 year for Cobras.
Cobras, Concord Cobras. Yeah, I figured you played. Concord Cobras had a good program, so that's good, man. So you've been playing all of your years at Concord High, correct?
Yeah.
Did you play all of your years on varsity or
So
JV? How was it?
I've been on varsity since freshman year. I wasn't getting a ton of reps freshman year, but I got put in near the end of the season, and that was I started doing better near the end. It took time to develop, but once I got there, it was I got pretty good quick when I got put in.
And some people are discouraged on playing varsity as a freshman because at that point, physically and even mentally, you're not up to speed as the varsity players that have had multiple years. And here you are just playing with people that are less strong, less smart, in terms of football IQ. But what you learn by sitting even on the bench for varsity is sometimes people would think it's more than what you would do in freshman. Sometimes people do like the freshmen because they get to dominate. But if your freshman team is probably not going to be good anyways, it is better to learn around the older, bigger, stronger players because that's ultimately what you are going to turn into and what you already have turned into. Because I've seen you playing varsity as a sophomore, actually playing. I know you were on the varsity team as a freshman, but you weren't getting that much reps. And I talked to some of the senior players, and they regarded you as a leader. So hold on. So to me, that was extremely impressive to see a sophomore step up and say, hey, you know what? And I even told you this personally, like I said, on the field, physically, you have the ability. Vocally, that's an ability too that sometimes gets overlooked. And if you look at any of the NFL top linebackers, sometimes they have the mic up, with the
Yeah,
they're always talking, literally like nonstop. And you'll see it in the defense, right? And let me ask you this: what players do you like right now in the league that inspires you? Before I get back, I had to give a little sidebar because I know you are a Niners fan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yeah. I mean, obviously, I gotta go with Fred Warner.
Oh wow, okay, okay.
He's just all everything's perfect, perfect scope for a linebacker. And it's like you watch him, you learn no matter what's going on.
Got you. So are there any linebackers of the past that you kind of came up with that you liked, or were you not always in football? Because I know some people are good on football, but they don't always know football like college and NFL. Are you pretty familiar with some of the
Um,
collegiate and NFL pro players?
I didn't really get into it until like sophomore year, but once I get into something, I'm consumed by it. So, some of my like not too far back, but I really like Brian Cushing.
Got you. I
Just
remember from the Houston
yeah,
Texans. And that year they had an amazing defense. They had J.J. Watt and they had corners. They were all around a solid team. But I do like Brian Cushing. He's definitely as a player. What about on offense? You kind of remind me of a bit of a Christian McCaffrey. You like him?
yes, Christian McCaffrey is my favorite player to watch right now, probably on offense. I mean, I
He is
just
an
finished watching him.
absolute highlight reel. Did you just
Yeah,
see like he I just seen one play. I can't remember, but he just got they won tonight, right?
yeah, playing the Giants.
Got you. I didn't get to see the stats, but I followed him at Stanford. And this guy is not only could he run, he's a beast in the weight room. He has agility, so he's going side to side. So Christian McCaffrey is definitely an extremely fun player to watch. So shout out to Christian McCaffrey. And even, I'm not a Niners fan. I like the Raiders, but I am a sports aficionado. So I look and I'm even if it's on the Niners, I'm gonna say, hey, this guy could play. I'm not gonna look at Bosa and say, hey, he can't play because he's on the Niners. So
For sure.
but the last question, were any of those players like an inspiration to you to join the team or you just looked at them as more just
The
entertainment to watch?
I joined mainly because of my dad. Like I was hesitant to join. It was eighth grade summer coming off of COVID, and everything was weird around that time. But I
Extra
just
weird.
yeah, I just took a shot and ran with it, and I think no, I don't even have to think. I know it was the best decision I ever made in my life, and I thank my dad for that.
Man, shout out your dad. Your dad is a solid dude and he's a heck of an athlete. I think that it was kind of destined for you to do some sort of sports whether it was football or not, because knowing your dad, I know he is versatile in at least a multitude of sports. And so, you picked that up from him and, you definitely have his heart too. So that's a great thing. And, that leads me on to furthering in the discussion. So, like I was saying earlier, uh, from last year when you were a sophomore, the seniors were even regarding you as a leader, a very impactful player on the team. What areas do you believe you grown at as a sophomore playing varsity versus a junior playing varsity?
It's weird how it works. It's just like as soon as your title changes, you just if for me it was like I seen I had to take control. Even if I didn't feel comfortable in areas, I forced it and it worked. Like I wasn't as vocal last year. I would talk, I would yell at the plays, but now I'm like encouraging, way more encouraging. I make sure my guys get out there because I want the best for the team. I want to win. I hate losing, and I want my friends and my teammates, my brothers, to do good too. I want them to be happy. I want them to win.
And that's great that you said about the encouragement too, because if you're just yelling, I tell people this too, especially when you're building a team and you want to strengthen the team. Sometimes in the physical fitness area, not everyone, you are physically strong and a beast, right? So some people may look at like, hey, I'm not as strong as him, so they get embarrassed, so they don't want to work out as hard because they may appear weak. And then sometimes bad leaders will say, man, you're super weak. But that's not really encouraging, right? You want your teammate to get stronger. And you can say, bro, I was a weakling too. Like, I couldn't even bench press this. Now
Exactly.
I'm bench pressing this. Like, where you're at now is not where you're going to finish. But I notice sometimes people that are not encouraging leaders, they'll ridicule, man, you missed a play, you dummy. It's like, is that really going to encourage them to be better on the next play? They might, some players could react to that and say, you know what, I was a dummy, I missed a play. And others are going to break down and say, Jayden, I thought you were my friend. And, so how do you find that balance to encourage people in the appropriate way or respectful way?
Well, like you got to be a leader on and off the field. Like if you're just leading on the field, you're not gonna know how to treat the different guys. I mean it when I say these guys are my brothers. I talk to them every day. I make sure I get to know them all. I introduce myself when there's new guys, and like I get to learn who these guys are because this is the football team, my family. So I understand who they are, so I can understand how to lead them.
Got you. And that was a great answer, man. And if there were more young men that were mature in going about the respectful business of leadership, then that will provide more like chemistry among the team, because especially when you're at a skilled position, you can't be looking at the lineman and thinking, oh, how fat and sloppy and you're slow and all this stuff. It's like, dude, that's the dude that's going to block for you, right? You need to
Yeah,
kind of encourage him. And if they're big, use their weight to their advantage, right? If you have speed, use that to your advantage. Or, hey, I'm good in this area, but I'm lacking in this area. Well, let's work together so we both turn our weakness into strength. So that's good what you're saying, that you are always getting to know the teammates, because you all need each other. Even when you're a star receiver, you would only be a star receiver if you have a quarterback to get you the ball, right? A
exactly.
star running back, but he doesn't have a good line. It's not going to happen, right? So behind every star running back, there's a good line. Behind
Mhm.
every good quarterback, there's some productive receivers out there. So it is very imperative that people understand that, hey, as an individual player, you're just a finger, but you need all your guys to come together so you turn into a fist and deliver that knockout blow. So I know you definitely understand that, but I want to dig into the weight room a little bit. What, like, have the gains in the weight room? Did you always know that, hey, you know what? My dad is strong. I'm going to be strong. Or were you just like a kind of scrawny, weak kid, and then you gain strength over time? Where did the like kind of beasting out in the weight room come from, bro? You got to speak on that.
So freshman year, I was kind of naturally strong in my legs, not super crazy. So I knew there was some genetics there, but I didn't take weight room super serious, and like I didn't get super strong that year, and it was off season. I started taking it more serious. I was like my legs were always pretty strong, but my upper body wasn't there. And then when I seen the juniors my sophomore year, because there was a lot of juniors, it was their last year coming up. It was their last off season. They went crazy, and it just rubbed off on me. And I was in the weight room every day I could be, working out, listening to my coach, bench squat every week, cleans, and it just consistency is key, like they say. I did it, and I broke down the muscle, and my strength went up crazy.
Yeah, you got to tear it down to build it up, right? You gonna have those days where you do leg day, and sometimes I feel like I need a cane to sit, just to sit.
Yeah, bro.
But then after you see how the fruit it bears, either on the field or being able to lift more or jump higher, and just overall, muscle is like most things, you use it or lose it, right? And I know how it is, right? Where you're beat naturally strong, but if you don't go hard, like, you will lose it, right? Like, if you were throwing up 300 and then you just take lollygag and take 2-3 months off, you might still throw it up, but you'll be super struggling. So staying consistent is key. So that is good that you hit the ground running. What is your biggest accomplishment in the weight room? Like, I'm super proud of my squat, or my bench, or is it all collective? Because I know some people hold certain things a little bit in higher regard, like deadlifts, cleans, power cleans. What is your greatest weight room accomplishment thus far?
Definitely my squat. At During the off season, at the final max week, I hit 4 plates. So I hit 405 on squat. And then one thing I really like, I love to do power cleans, and my cleans went up a lot. So
And hold on, I gotta cut you off, Jayden. And we got none other than Rick Reger himself in the building. Says the kid is humble. Go ahead, champ. Tell him your PR. So I would be remiss. You gotta let us. You gotta let us know. We're dealing with a junior student athlete here, and we gotta know what those PRs are, because you're gonna be motivating and inspired. This is not a flex, even though you could flex a little bit or a lot of it, but this is not a flex. This is inspiration. So go ahead, whatever PRs you want to name. Since you said the squat, we definitely got to know that, the bench, and if there's any other, the squat, the bench, and if there's any other PRs that you're happy with. But usually that's what most people care about anyways.
so I as my squat went up, my power clean went up, and I hit 250, which was a huge milestone for me, because sophomore year I don't even think I hit 175. Like, it jumped up that much.
Bro, that's insane.
Yeah, that was crazy. I wasn't even expecting it. Like, it was weird because I had plate 25 on there and it was max week, and then all of a sudden it felt light, jumped up. I had 2 plates on there. I was like, no way. And it just went up, and I kept going up, and I hit that. And then my bench was, at the last off season max week, it was 265.
Yeah, and what about the squat?
The squat's 405 right now.
Yeah,
And they all jumped up crazy from last year.
yeah. So those are, and shout out to Stan Joseph. Thank you for stopping by, brother. And 405 on the squat, and a max of 265 on the bench as a junior athlete. Those numbers are insane. I know people that are bigger than you, seniors that can't hit that, people that are grown men that can't hit that. So that is a milestone for student athletes and adults at all. Like, these are grown man numbers that you're dealing with, right? And there are some people that are good on bench but not good on squat, good on squat but not good on bench. So you are very well rounded with your strength. So that's great to hear. So before we get on to this season, let's just take a moment to celebrate a little bit of last season, because I'm gonna just call it how it is. The Concord Minutemen slash Bears, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys for years have kind of stunk it up, right?
Yeah.
Stunk it up. So for whatever reason, some players were not into it. They always had stud athletes, but not always the team chemistry. And then last year, you guys were a force to be reckoned with. So could you speak about being on a team that was, let's just say, atrociously bad to a team that was actually dominant?
It was definitely weird because when like my first real season of football was pretty bad. We went like 1-9, and then you could tell there was people who cared on the team, and instead of sulking and sinking down from that record, they just they took it personal and they never wanted to feel that way again. And I didn't want to either, so I took it personal too, and I followed in their footsteps.
Got you. And it was great to witness. I seen a lot of life. I seen a lot of highlights. I seen a lot of love among the team. Like, people actually cared for each other, whether it was blocking for each other, standing up for each other in the scuffle. So it was definitely a pleasure to watch that team last year. Now coming on to this year, 2023, the team, has a bit of a up and down roller coaster, but I just want to start on what were your expectations going into this season?
Honestly, I knew that it was not going to be the same because we lost a lot of seniors and there was lots of holes to fill, but we made it work like in the summer. And I think we've had some rough games, and it's not like we have the personnel to win. Like these kids, it's just small mistakes, and then people are too emotional, don't push through it, and it just leads to bigger mistakes. But I think they definitely have it in them.
Yes, and I would have to agree with you, because I'm not, I like to give honest commentary, so some may consider it harsh, but I don't want to sugarcoat things. If I thought you guys were like hot garbage, I would just say it. But like you said, you guys do have the personnel. Even one of the games that I was watching, they were the mistakes where the team actually kind of beat themselves. Some games, you just play better competition. Some days they're just better that day. Maybe someone's sick, maybe the weather conditions, whatever it is, there's a bunch of variables. So I'm not going to get into that. As long as people are playing their best and you lose playing your best, then that is at least it's commendable, right? You're not going to feel good about it because you still lost, but you shouldn't feel regretful about playing your heart out and lose. Sometimes teams are just better. Sometimes teams have players they have, you see some of these teams, right? They got like 40, 50 players on the team, and you might, I
Yeah.
think what you guys had like 27 or something last year. I've seen some of these teams literally, I'm like, bro, how many players do you have? So that's already an unfair advantage. But in this game, no one cares, right? No one cares if the odds are stacked against you. You just go out there and play. So I know you guys don't care that the odds are stacked against you because you got leaders like you up there. But I have seen, and I'm speaking to you and the team, I have seen some players on your team with phenomenal talent. And then I've seen some times where adverse situations can make the team kind of second guess themselves. Like, man, are we really that good? Yes, you guys are that good. And even when you go down by one touchdown, two scores, or something like that, it doesn't mean that's going to be the final score. So I have seen some breakdowns, but the breakdowns were mentally. it wasn't because the team wasn't physically capable. You guys could run with these teams. You got a beast running back. You guys got a solid line. Is there room for improvement? Yes. If you ask your dad, he can improve in places. I can improve in places. The coaching could improve. Everyone can improve in some area. But if each of your players start with accountability and say, you know what, I'm gonna hold myself accountable just like I'm holding my brother because it's your brothers. Is no one is pointing the fingers because there is no individual victories. If you get 100 yards and you guys get blown out, like what did you really win? So it is crucial to make sure that hey, you guys don't hang your hat up. Whether it's a winning season, don't get too high. If it's a losing season, don't get too low. But the personnel is there. I personally just think it's missing the mindset right now. The complete mindset. The mindset might be like 60 to 70% there, and it just got to get closer to 90 to 100%, and you guys will hit the ground running. Luckily, there are still several games to be played, and I think that you guys will pick it up. So that leads to your birthday game, bruh.
Oh
That
yeah, that was a good day.
game, right? So you recently just had a birthday. You played a game on your birthday, and it was like down to the wire, literally what you consider a nail biter. Could you speak about that game, how you felt before the game, during, after, whatever?
Well, before I knew it was a winnable game, but I knew it was going to be like you said, a nail biter. And then during, we had some mistakes, and honestly, that game surprised me because even though we had some mistakes, it was one of those games where the guys didn't really hang their head low. They stayed alive, and it made me happy. Because you could see that growth because in week 1 and week 2 we had some tough games, but like it was small mistakes that led into players just giving up. But week 3, my birthday game, they just they turned a different level. They didn't hang their head low. They were in the zone.
Yeah, that was in the zone. And that game actually, if it wasn't for the mistakes, it could have been a blowout, right? It was some missed field goals, some missed assignments. But I actually liked the way it panned out. Not to say I wanted you guys to make mistakes, but those mistakes showed that you guys had resolve because you guys were clearly winning. Then you were clearly losing to a point like, okay, this game is over. And then you guys came back and you held them defensively. And I had told you, like, that's really what football is about. Like, when people think of football, they think of games like that. So I was extremely happy and proud to see you guys go out there and gut out a victory. It was on your birthday, so it made it super, super sweet and serendipitous. So that was pretty sweet. And now it gets to the most recent game. Now, I came to this game a little bit late, and it was so emotional for me because as soon as I come in, there's a player injured on the floor, and some of the other teammates are just like, "Hey, what's up, bro? What's up?" Knowing I'm filming and shooting photos. And shout out to Landon, number 12, and he just ran up to me. He was like, "It's Jayden," and I was like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, I literally didn't even. I've seen a player on the field, and I'm just like, bro, what is he talking about? And then it just hit me, and I was like, oh no, And he gave a prayer for you, He said that he had his grandma over looking for you, and it was just like I was like, no, and I was like super kind of distraught. You know what I mean? So I'll let you just kind of walk me through that area because I know era. I mean, basically that period that you went through, of the injury and having to be escorted. Whatever you want to talk about, I mean, I know it's like a kind of touchy area, but what I'm hoping is that you'll provide even more inspiration to people overcoming injuries. Because I know one of your other teammates, Anthony, had kind of got injured that period too. I don't know if he's still back, but he told me he had like something going on with his shoulder. It might have been separated or something.
Yeah, he separated his shoulder. He said, and about my injury, like, well, it was definitely the weirdest, kind of hardest experience that I've gone through because you know it's a big deal, and it's like I put a lot into the sport for something like that to happen, and but the support I've had has helped me so much, and just I've kept my faith strength with God like high. I've been very close with God over this time, just keeping my faith strong, and He's been helping me get through this.
And I'm glad you said that because shout out to this brother Von Bryan. He is a heavy believer in God, and he says greetings, peace, joy, and grace and abundance. And thank you for speaking about me, Von Bryan. Shout out to you and bro Clarence. And hit me up, Von Bryan. I got some work to do with you. But you know what? You handled it so, like, I was just so proud the way you handled that because it was devastating because like I said, I know your team has the capability and you have the personnel, but you are like the pulse of the team, you know. So to me, it was kind of like if you're watching the Warriors if Curry goes down. So, but the way that you bounce back physically, I knew that you're a bounce back. You're a young guy, you're really strong, and you know, you have the genetics to bounce back. It was really the mental bounce back that made me very proud of you because sometimes people give up on the sport, you know, have an injury and say, hey, you know what? I don't even want to do this sport anymore. I'll do a sport that's even more safe or where I'm less prone to injury, you know. Some people like baseball, volleyball, track, or something like that. So, could you speak on how you were able to process the injury and say, you know what, this injury is not going to hold me down. I'm going to still push forward and, you know,
Yeah.
stop.
So as soon as it happened, my dad was there with me, and I knew I. I mean, it wouldn't have happened if, like, stuff just happens. I'm not gonna let this dictate how my football career goes. I mean, I love football. Like I said, it's my everything. So I'm gonna push through it. If anything, I'm gonna turn it into something that makes me go the extra mile. Because now I got to work a million times harder, and I'm gonna get better from this. I'm gonna let this be a tool.
And you know what? That's super inspiring. And let me give a shout out to my Brody Johnson Different. Shout out to my bro B-Eazy, that dude always working towards the greater. And you know what? John, you are too, bro. So I really appreciate you, bro. Much love. And shout out to Coach Reger and Jayden Reger because you are always working towards greater too, right? Trying to get greater gains in the weight room and try to have greater results for the team. And now you have a greater vision for yourself saying, look, this injury, I'm not going to succumb to this. I'm not just going to say I'm injured. Now I got to stop, or my dream or my passion stops, because it only stops when you do. And it doesn't sound like you plan on stopping soon, which I wouldn't recommend or advise. So that means only place to go is up, right? When you were
Exactly.
on the field, that was your lowest time. You're already up from that, right? It's a gradual process, but you've already went through the lowest time. The lowest time is you laying on there in agonizing pain, knowing like, damn, you know, yeah, I'm kind of done with this one, right? That's the lowest. So once you, everything from that is a progression. So I am really happy to see mentally that, you know, you were basically able to overcome all of that. And I got a couple questions because, you know, this was going smooth, but I just got a couple questions before I send you out because it is a school night. And actually, yeah, that segues into one of my questions. How do you do the balance, right? Because I'm gonna get back to the mental aspects of the injury, but I also want to speak on because you are a heck of a student too. So it's one thing to really be going hard in the weight room, but how do you balance going hard in the weight room, balancing the family, friend, and your outside of football life, but still being able to make grades? Could you speak about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I understand. I'm gonna play at the next level, and I know a step with that is school. So I'm always talking to my teachers. All of my classes, I'm talking to my teachers, making sure I have a good relationship with them, as well as understanding what this class is like. You know, some teachers give out a lot of work, some teachers give out barely any work. Some are easy, some not so much. And I'm in front of the classroom talking to my teachers all the time, trying to get like just work my way around it, make it as easy as I can. Because obviously, I don't have a lot of time at home to do the work, but I work my way around it, you know?
Yeah, I got you. So that's really great. So let me just get back to some specific. So with the injury that you suffered, would you say that the most challenging aspect of it is physical, mental, or is it about equal? Like, what do you believe was, because you went through a surgical process, you went through like an emotional state of not only what you're going through, but seeing others that love you going through. So, what do you think was more challenging for you to overcome, the physical aspect of the injury or the emotional aspect surrounding it?
I'd say at first when it happened, it was emotional, and I'm more in my head now, but it's definitely physical because like I'm confident, you know, I'm trying to be patient, but it just sucks. Like I can't get like that much work in right now, you know, and I hate not being able to like run around. I still go to practice when I can, and like I'm still there for my team, you know, leading even though I can't play. It's just hard not being able to play for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely say the because mentally, you can meditate, you could talk to people and uplift, you can do things that are fun and entertaining and lightning, and at least for that moment it will take your mind to a different place. But then physically, if you're looking at the squat rack and you're like, yeah, I could do that, just not right now, right? And then right,
Exactly.
could run, but not right now, so knowing that you could do something but you're restricted, that is a bit harder than kind of controlling your thoughts. So that physical aspect is tough. And for anyone that's dealing with the injury or have dealt with the injury, you can let us know in the chat how you overcame it. And hopefully, the information that's being provided tonight will help you overcome whatever you're going through, because it's not just about you being injured on the football field. People get injured in all sorts of ways because it's not limited to physical. Mental and emotional injuries do exist as well. So let me ask you this. Are there any specific goals that you have set for yourself during this recovery process? And how are you measuring your progress? So let me just set it up a little bit more for you. With the strength, last year you were able to see, okay, I was power cleaning this, now I'm doing this, so you can clearly measure and say, hey, I was doing X amount of pounds, now I'm doing 40 or 50 pounds more. So with your injury that you sustain now, what is a good measurement to know your progress? You know, will it be you being able to run more, lift a little bit more?
Yeah, I would say right now, I mean, I I haven't been able to do much my lower body at all, so there's no way I could measure that right now. I'm just recovering, you know, but I'm still working out my upper body as much as I can. Like first like day after I got out of the hospital, I was on that bench, and I'm gonna keep progressing in any way I can. You know, always getting better, little steps. You know.
Yeah, and that's all you can do. You gotta crawl before you walk. So that's the best method. And let me just ask a couple more questions before I get you out of here. This has definitely been a extremely fruitful stream, and this is just one of many. I'm gonna get you on here, a couple more solo, then I'll get you a couple with some of the teammates. And this one should be extremely easy for you to answer because you are a pretty down to earth, chill leader. But I gotta ask, how do you stay connected to your team and the sport while being able to participate fully? And what are the alternative ways, if any, do you stay involved? So some people, let me give an example. Some people say, hey, building team chemistry and camaraderie is definitely a huge key. So some people have gatherings at the house or go like movie nights with the team or go
Yeah,
over with the team. So you can just
I've
ask.
been doing stuff like that, bonding with the team. You know, like I just had the guys over like last week, and I've kind of taken on like a not like a coaching role, but I can't play, but there's still ways I can make my team better. You know, just getting the guys like understanding what's going on with the defense, because I know the defense. My defensive coordinator is the smartest guy like ever, so he's taught me very well, and I know the defense like the back of my hand. So I've been able to make sure the guys on defense understand what's going on, and that's how I've been helping the team, even though I can't play right now.
Yeah, so even though you can't play, you can still help. And that's what's all that matters, right? You can't play, but you can still contribute. So that's the main thing. So any tips that you can give to the team to make it easier or more smoother transition, because you might know it like the back of your hand, and others they may need like a wristband or something that tells them like a
Yeah,
cheat sheet or
exactly.
something like that. So you may just need to, not to say you haven't done this already, I'm just speaking generally, just need to identify this person has an issue remembering his plays. Like he can hit hard, but just got to remember the
Yeah,
plays.
there's a lot of guys like that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely made sure to kind of take them under my wing, whether they're older or younger. You know, I'm helping them out because I understand this defense well. You know, so I just like it's team leader. You know, team leader. You got to make your team better first, and that's what I'm focusing on.
yeah. And when it says team leader, it doesn't mean a junior only makes the sophomores better, or I can't make a senior better because they're a senior. No, as a team leader, if you're on the team, we can all teach each other. You can learn from a baby, you know what I mean? I can hang around you and learn some things from you, and you can learn some things from me. So it doesn't matter. You people can't look and say, well, this person's just a freshman, they don't know anything. No, there's some things that that freshman knows that you don't know. It's up to you
100%.
to extract that information and bestow some information on them. There's really not a competition like nana nana boo boo, I know more than you. Like what does that really do for the team, right?
Exactly.
Put all the information that we know together on the table and make sure that we give ourselves a fighting chance. Because if a teammate of yours knows a special technique that will make a player better, how does it help them by like withholding that? I don't want to tell Jayden this secret that will make him better. Well, Jayden's your running back. Like, don't you want him to flourish?
Yeah, like you gotta like if someone knows like if someone's better at juking somebody and someone's better at laying hat, they should complement each other rather than withholding that information for sure.
Correct. Because now the person that jukes, he can learn a little bit of something about laying hat and can incorporate it when he jukes and now he dips his shoulder, right? You can add something to your repertoire and arsenal so you don't just have to be one dimensional. I always tell people, and I haven't played in a while, but I am going to, for all of those, I'm gonna put this out there for all of the Madden, the 2K, the Mortal Kombat players. I will be having some paid contests, right? Tournaments. So if you know anybody with some skills, let me know. But what I'm saying is when people look at a created player, they understand that you want to balance out the attributes, right? You don't
Yeah,
want to have this
be good
player.
at everything.
So you understand that from a digital player, but then as your own personal player, it's just like when people are saying don't skip leg day. And you see the dude is jacked, but it's like he can't squat 100 pounds. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Like,
you got to balance it out and soak up information from everywhere, help each other, set the ego aside. Even if you believe or know that you're better than somebody, you can still learn something. Add that information and be even more better.
that's one thing that I've definitely gotten better at is being coachable doesn't mean just learning from coaches. You can learn stuff from your teammates, even if you think they're not as good as you, or even if they're JV guys. Everybody has something that could help you.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. So I'm going to give two more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. So, how do you balance the desire to return to competition quickly, also with knowing that you need to give yourself proper time for healing? So let me even further elaborate. There are some people who say, hey, this sport is my passion. I'm die hard for it. And they will push themselves to get back to returning. And then they know that they're not 100%. They go out there and get re-injured, or they look like a shell of themselves because they didn't allow themselves to fully heal. So how do you weigh that out, knowing that, let me present it to you again, the desire to return, but also knowing that you need to properly heal? Like, how do you weigh that out? Not wanting to go back too soon and risk further injury, but also being super impatient because
Yeah,
being
I would
injured.
say like, well, that's another thing that comes with, you just got to ask yourself what's best for the team. Like, I'm really a team player. I like to be the best I can be, but I want my team to be the best they can be too. And I don't think me forcing it right now and risking re injury would be best for the team. And maybe with me out, some younger guys that are going to be big focal points next year could get reps in and get better. And that would be the best thing for the team right now.
Amazing answer. And you're spot on, because you're going to get out there. Actually, not only would you hurt the team, you would hurt yourself because you wouldn't
Exactly.
even be fully healed, and people are knowing you for being a stud on the field. So you go out there and you're still injured, and like I said, you'll be looking like, dang, like, has he lost a step, or like, does he need to go down to JV or something, like,
Yeah, don't
and that
want wouldn't want my prime to look like it's my sophomore year, like.
correct. And it wouldn't be because that's your physical talent. It's because you didn't give yourself enough time to heal. Like, injuries are a real thing. And I know it is hard to just suck it up and say, look, what's best for the team is for me to sit down. And if those young gunners step up, now you have some better players, more mature, experienced, and capable players going into your senior year. So I think, you know, it's kind of a bittersweet thing, but you are doing what's best for the team. And I do respect you a lot for that.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that a lot.
no problem. So, let me ask you this. Can you describe any positive aspects or personal growth that you've experienced from this injury, and how has it changed your perspective on sports, but also life in general?
Well, it's just like, you know, one thing I've noticed, my work ethic, even though it's been short time, I already know I'm gonna have to. I was trying to put in 110% last year, and now I know I got to put in 150% since I'm already set back. I think obviously this setback sucks, but it's allowing me to understand that I have to work harder now. This is gonna become my new normal. Even when I get better, I'm still gonna work like I'm set back, so I continue to get better at this faster rate now that I'm working harder.
Got you. And let me bring this up. All American on Netflix did a great job of depicting the story about a healing from an injury. Great show. Have you seen that show?
I watched it a little bit. I definitely think I should watch more of it though. Is
Definitely
where I'm
watch
at.
more of it. And if your pops haven't watched it,
My
man,
dad's always watching that show.
that show, bro, that look, I would not gaslight you. That show is one of the most iconic football ones because it touches on football, but then like outside of football, people growing in certain areas. I guarantee, even if you watch it with the team will love it. But even there's a bunch of other football movies. Well, actually, before I let you go, what football movies do you like? Because I'm sure it's a lot of, because you're a young guy, so it's some classics that I know you haven't seen.
Yeah.
But if anybody in the chat drops some football movies that y'all like, because I don't know if you've seen Any Given Sunday. That one is
I've seen, like I said, when I get into something, I'm consumed by it. So I've watched a ton of football movies like Friday Night Lights. Obviously, I just
okay.
watched
Yeah,
Varsity Blues. Um,
Varsity Blues is
what's the one?
classic.
Remember the
The
Titans.
Titans, that's one of the
Yeah,
greatest of all
that's
time.
probably
That's
my
like
favorite.
yeah,
Definitely one of my
that one is
favorite.
my favorite, and I love that one because it touches on the racial. And that's probably one of the most powerful ones because it was grown up in like a Jim Crow super racist time where there was so much racial tension, and they came together and said, "Look, you're my brother," right? Like
Yeah,
you
it's a beautiful movie.
that movie is such a beauty. It's very touching. I know some people that have kind of teared up over there, so that is one of the greatest movies. But yeah, you name some good ones though. But if you do get a chance, even with your pops, the show is so good that I seen it that if anybody wants, I might host an all American party. Like, here, come over and we'll all eat popcorn and make food and what, because this show is so powerful, because even though it's a show, it's based on depictions of actual real life. So people are really living like that. And he said, Remember the Titans is one of the best movies made. Yeah, it's not only just a top movie for sport, just overall, the message in there, the acting was top flight. Even the coaches' daughters, right? They were like bickering at each other, but then they became like best of friends because it's a lot of BS that keeps us separated. But then when we talk to each other, I'm like, wow, like, bro, like, we have the same interests. We're all cool. So once we get past a lot of the kind of just societal BS, we really are brothers. We really can come together on meaningful issues, whether it be sports, whether it be politics, whether it just be, being a good friend, a good dad, a good brother or sister. Like, we can all come together and contribute a bit more positivity to society. So
Yeah.
actually, I had one more, and then this will actually be the last one. This is literally the final one. So, as you prepare to make your comeback, what are your expectations and goals? How do you plan to come back stronger and perform at your best level?
Honestly, I'm expecting to come back better from this. Like I said, I'm working harder now because I'm lower now. I was working at 110% before, but now I'm trying to go 150, maybe even 200. I'm trying to just push it to a level that I haven't before. So I'm expecting to make playoffs next year when I come back, and I'm expecting to come back just a different animal.
I liked how you did that because what you did, you gave specific goals. You said, I'm expecting to make the playoffs. Whether you make the playoffs or not, that's neither here nor there. You made a direct goal and something to strive for. It's almost like, hey, I'm going to do some push-ups, right? Like how many is that, right? But if I say I'm going to do 300 push-ups, now I've set a goal. So I'm either going to go below that threshold, meet that threshold, or go beyond. Now you're either not going to make the playoffs, and probably win state, right? Like you've set a goal and a trajectory that is up, right? It's
Yeah,
not a
that's what I'm working at.
yeah. So you're already starting with that, and it was such a pleasure having you. And what I'm gonna let you do is give some final remarks. In your final remarks, you can just say anything about what we discussed tonight. I will also like for you to give some shout outs, any of your teammates, family members, coaches that you want to shout out for supporting you, for being in your corner. And you got the spotlight.
Yeah, so, well, obviously, I want to thank you for having me on here. I want to thank God for making this easier. Thank everybody who watched. Thank you for all the support that you've given me through this time. It's definitely helped me get better. And, just prayers for everybody. Shout out to my team. Shout out to my coaches. Shout out to God. And shout out to my family.
Thanks a lot, bro. I definitely appreciate that. So this was an interview with Jayden Reger, student athlete, Concord High. And this is one of many. This was just his first podcast, but I mean, who knows? If after your football career, you might be in the
Yeah,
Monday night booth,
some more.
Yeah, because you are definitely a natural, bro. Like the answers were so good. I was like, bro, like, do you got a cue card? Like, it's like you reading off a little screen like Joe Biden or something.
Bro.
but but no, I'm totally joking with you. But yeah, this man is a very smart young man, strong mentally, physically. He comes from a good family. Man, he got a bunch of brothers around here that love him, and I love the kid, man. The dude is a really solid young man. And
Thank you,
this,
man.
yeah,
Love you
no
too.
problem. Love you too, bro. And this is Jayden Reger, and we are signing out.
See
And
y'all.
for sure. And you can just hang in the back for a little bit, Jayden, but I'm gonna shut it down.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.